Hello and welcome to Southeastern 16's Football Reaction. It's Media Day. We got a lot of stuff going on at Media Day as always. We got a lot of stuff going on here. We got Graham Doty on vacation with the baby. We got Jay Greason. God only knows what comes from Jay Greason joins the show. We got Shane Beamer at the podium right now. We got all kinds of stuff going on. Gentlemen, this is kind of the line of demarcation from we are entering SEC football season, and I know people are pretty excited about that, including us.
I got a Beamer story. I can't believe it. I didn't even think about it. We'll start this Monday with story time with Jay. So we go to George O'Leary's golf event at Reynolds Plantation in 2001. And it's a beautiful event, and a lot of coaches have space on Lake Ocoee, and we're all asking questions, and it's 5-star catered and the whole nine. And then all of a sudden, and there are questions about Georgia Tech and O'Leary and his team and all these, your typical media day stuff that we can get into that's going on in Atlanta today. And all of a sudden from the back, a hand comes up and O'Leary goes, "You in the back." And all of a sudden you hear, "Coach, y'all open with Virginia Tech. You got any idea what your first 5 plays are going to be?" And everybody goes, "What the hell kind of question is that?" Stands up, it's Frank Beamer when he was coaching at Virginia Tech, because he crashed the news conference because he had a place up there. It was hilarious. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Frank Beamer's a good guy now. There are a few guys who, in this profession, it can be cutthroat. That guy's a good dude.
Yeah. By the way, if you look at his history, like what happened with him, that'll never happen again. Like
never again. You get 5 years, and you're like, in year 5, he was what, like 4-7, or something like that.
Yeah.
No, they'd have told him and beat feet.
Yeah, that program was like, I don't know, Syracuse or something before he got there.
Yeah, I think
what
they were
Syracuse is now.
They were independent, and then
that's right.
Look at them now. Okay. They're in the ACC.
Yeah. Well, his son is speaking right now, which leads us to, I think, a topic where Jay wanted to go. We're waiting to see whether they get their star running back transfer from Utah State cleared. I think is still in progress as of this morning, and he is a stud, Jay, if they get him through.
He is a stud, and it is Rashul Faison is his name. He had 7 games over 100 yards last year. And we've done a lot of football previews, questions, win totals, all these things over under. If you take quarterback off the table, and South Carolina can, because Lenore Sellers can be him, but if you take quarterback off the table, if you look around this league, some of the biggest vacuums to replace among those has got to be Rocket Sanders, the running back at South Carolina last year, because the Gamecocks were a playoff team when he was on the field. Offensively, they were dynamic. Defensively, they were great, and they've got questions that Shane Beamer, I'm sure, is answering right now about what they're going to have to replace. But it is this guy, this Faison kid, it's going to be an amazing year this year, because the 2 best running backs in this league could very well be portal guys, one at South Carolina and one at Missouri. Because the ULM kid at Missouri, he can go now. He can pick them up and put them down.
Yeah. He got paid too, so congrats to him. To me, South Carolina is one of the more intriguing teams of anybody in the SEC, like up there with like Oklahoma and Auburn. I'm a big fan of Todd McShay's podcast. Like, I think he's really good. He's got Lenore Sellers as a top 10 pick. If he produces at that type of level, like South Carolina had a monster season.
He's not alone though. And you're right. McShay's great. And I mean, we all understand in this business, cuts, finances, all these things. And so I don't know what he was making, but boy, oh boy, I can't believe ESPN let him walk or told him to walk. He's good.
Yeah.
Me either. If you haven't checked out his podcast, like he was all over the Shedeur Sanders stuff, like back in November before anybody else wanted to touch it.
Yeah, that was not a take people wanted to hear at the time. But man, he called him out big time for entitlement and stuff like that. It ended up being exactly the script of what happened.
Yeah, and he had like, this is what happened in his meeting with the Giants, his meetings with this team. It's like, it just did not go well. So nobody else wanted to touch it. He was one of the ones.
Yeah, I think Sellers to me is wild card is not fair because that implies that he's been inconsistent, but because he's not. But to me, it's like, okay, now he gets a first full season. Like the first of last year, it was a little rocky at first, and then midseason he really hit his stride. And since then, like he's been a dude that just about anybody would love to hide behind center. And like I'm not gonna say he's a unicorn. You've seen big quarterbacks who can move before, but there's not many like that. And you listen to Shane Beamer a year ago talk about him off the field and everything, like he's the kind of locker room guy you want, which I always like in my quarterback, a guy that kind of leads by example. And yeah, I mean, look, the defense was, probably the better part of those two sides of the ball last year. Not that offense was bad, but they lost a lot of dudes to the pros. Now, Shane Beamer is really good about reloading and finding new guys. And they've got a couple guys, Dylan Stewart's a guy that could play for anybody, first-team All-American. I think to me, yeah, it's how far can Lenore Sellers carry them? And maybe 1B to that is Nick Harbor, a guy we haven't talked about yet. Not only they're waiting on a running back, but remember when Nick Harbor signed with them, it was all, hey, look, this guy's the next big thing. He's an Olympic track star, but he's a little rusty. There's been some buzz around him in the offseason. So, I mean, that's when I say Lenore Sellers is kind of a wild card. Part of it, I mean, is like, is Nick Harbor going to be the stud that a lot of people thought he could be? Because if both those guys hit it, this is a super interesting team, which it is anyway, but it's really interesting.
I love your comment, Chris, about coaches praising their quarterbacks off the field. Now, conversely, Hugh Freeze last year said Peyton Thorne's a wonderful kid. So, great, go date my daughter in 6 years, and that's awesome. But I don't want you quarterbacking my football team. Lenore Sellers is both of those. And I think this is an important talking point. When you've got a unicorn like that kid, it is imperative on the coaching staff to find the 7 plays that he can perfect. Because, hey, brother, Gus Malzahn, he ran his course at Auburn, Alabama. But that 1 year in 2010, he had a unicorn. And he said, okay.
Yeah.
Cam Newton could have walked to the line of scrimmage and said, hey, we're running midline right here at right guard. Good luck with everything. On two. They could have huddled on the ball. They could have huddled in the defense, and it wasn't going to matter. I think Lenore Sellers could be that kind of special.
Well, and one other thing quickly that helps him too, and I should have mentioned this, the left side of his line is really good. His left guard and his left tackle, and that keeps your blinds up. Like there's a lot of stuff there that if it works out well with Harbor, and if they get the kid in the portal cleared, we're talking about a different conversation around the Gamecocks.
They're yeah, I mean, to me, like, they're fascinating. They come to Ole Miss this year. The big thing with me, like Lenore Sellers, if he can tighten up like the mid-range passing, that's what's gonna elevate them. I mean, some of the short stuff and the medium range passing kind of got to him last year. I mean, remember the game in Tuscaloosa, like that 2-point conversion? I mean, if they connect on that, who knows what happens in that game? But he airmailed it and it went in the bleachers. So, like, I was really impressed with the story that came out a week or two ago with his dad. His dad was impressive, saying, hey, look, like, he had some options and offers now to go pretty much anywhere he wanted to in the country, but he wanted to stay loyal to South Carolina, and I'm sure South Carolina's taking care of him. So you just don't see that a lot anymore. So he's very easy to cheer and pull for.
Which I was really hoping, and I know the exact story you're referencing to, that I think his name is Norris Sellers, and then as opposed to going Norris Sellers Jr., he went La Norris Sellers, And hey, you know what? Teach his own. I mean, I hope that my son goes LaJay Greason to my grandson. And if that works out, then hey, man, hey, we're all good. Hey, I'm great with it. But the NIL conversation has also come front and center over the weekend. The College Sports Commission apparently is, Chris, I know you've looked into this, has said, hey, this doesn't cut the muster. And so, I mean, if they're going to start tightening down, I was hoping Mr. Sellers, Norris, if you're nasty, would have dropped the schools that were truly doing it. Because the one thing the NCAA is going to have to put teeth into is the tampering stuff.
Yes.
I mean, hey, if a kid enters the portal, make your pitch. If somebody is looking to transfer, they're open game. But if a kid hadn't entered his name in the portal and he's not even looking, then you're doing a disservice to the sport by being a predator, by a lack of a better.
Yeah. That's a different conversation. Like, there needs to be one portal window, and like that's it. The fact that there are two is bananas to me, and the fact that it's only an SEC rule. It's not an NCAA rule for the second portal window where the SEC is like, you can't transfer SEC to SEC. Could you imagine if the conference would allow that? I mean, it'd just be chaos. It already is chaos, but it'd be even more chaos.
Yeah. There's an NIL topic I want to hit. I think we got more pressing things, and we can circle back to it later. Jay, I'm going to throw it to you for where you'd like to go next, because I know we've got a lot of things on our mind today.
Well, there are a lot of things. And I actually, before I start cutting into the comedy routine, because I got jokes now. And, I mean, I had to keep my mouth shut coaching softball this weekend to the point that I'm bottled up, man. I feel like a 2-liter Coke that everybody's been shaking for 2 days. And I do want to start with Sankey's comments, because that's the news of the morning.
Yeah.
And Greg Sankey leg, do the Sankey leg. Hey, he's
you got to laugh out of my wife.
He is a ball of wind. I mean, that guy can talk your ear off. But I think he's digging his heels in, and I think that's pretty important in the college landscape. And I'm going to let you set this up, Chris, as I drink from my tasty mug of Game Time Sidekicks.
Yes. Before I get into Greg Sankey's comments, we remind you we're brought to you by Game Time Sidekicks, as Jay is so beautifully showing off his wares there. Officially licensed stainless steel, all SEC schools, over 350 other universities. They have also got the College Vault line, which a lot of brands don't have. Stainless steel construction, I could give you all the details. I will just tell you this. It keeps whatever is hot, and whatever is cold. Some days to a ridiculous degree, and you need that stuff. It's reasonably priced. It is well constructed. It's a beautiful work of art, and you can get it at GameTimeSidekicks.com. SE16 gets you 20% off your entire order. Go do that today and support those who support us. In addition to the 40-ounce tumbler that I drink my water out every day, you can get your national title stuff, LSU fans. Get your national champions gear. Got 2 of those, actually. That makes custom-made stuff. Sam Smith, you're in the chat. You should get your Tennessee Natty gear from 2024 for baseball. They got it all. Go to GameTimeSidekicks.com. Get your stuff. Help out those who help the channel. All right, Jay Greason. Let's see. We're going to Sankey's comments. And I think the thing that stood out to me this morning, talked about a lot of things, and I'll get into a few of these, but I think that the place where he really had a lot of passion was around the playoff and the schedule. You could tell those were sticking points after the way last year went down with Alabama. He got really snarky when it came to the eight-game SEC schedule. Basically, he said, hey, nobody wants to come and play our 8 games. I promise you that. And he's right about that. Number 2, he talked about how everybody plays a Power 4 team outside the league. As he pointed out, some play 2, so that gives you 9 or 10 games against Power 10 or Power 5 teams. That's number 1. The other thing that really hit me, and this is where it ties in with the schedule, because if the committee does what it did last year, which is put an emphasis on losses, which is one reason Alabama got left out of the playoff, I would presume, why do you schedule yourself another game you could lose across the league? And he was very adamant in talking about strength of schedule and strength of resume as criteria going forward. And I don't blame him, because I don't understand, and I'm on record saying this last year, why is the process for football and the process for basketball so different, where we're going through who you beat and who you tried to play and everything? And in football, apparently last year, if that was part of a discussion, it wasn't the leading part of the discussion, it appeared to me, guys.
Well, Sankey has dug his heels in, and it's because the athletic directors in Destin in late May dug their heels in. The coaches actually and have now made it known they don't want to go to 9 games. In some ways, there's a catch-22 to this. 9 games in the SEC will end the greatness of Labor Day weekend, because if LSU's playing 9 league games, they're not going to schedule a road trip to Clemson. And Auburn's not going to schedule a trip to Waco. And the independent games and all these other, I mean, sure, Alabama is getting Florida State at a perfect time, but when they scheduled that, it was still Florida State. It wasn't last year's Florida State. But so if the SEC goes to 9 and the Big Ten's at 9, then you're going to look up and look, the power conferences run the game. The 2 most powerful guys in sports are not anybody in the NCAA office, although I think the new guy is 10 times better than Mark Emmert, who is right there with Sepp Blatter, who was the former corrupt FIFA leader in the terms of the worst sports executives of ever. So, I mean, for goodness sakes, I'm surprised it wasn't in the New Testament that Christ went, be aware of Mark Emmert and Sepp Blatter. They're going to ruin things. And then close the book of Luke. And so what we're going to do here is we got to figure out what the focus is going to be. Are we going to play 8 games and then still play the super games? Great. Okay, I'm good with that. The Big Ten can bellyache all they want, but the main thing Sankey is trying to do with his comments is appease the guys who pay his check. I mean, and I'm okay with that. It's like, don't be mad at Roger Goodell because he's taking stances that the owners have told him to take. He's making $54 million a year to be the shield for the shield. Sankey's now realizing that's his job for this league. I don't agree with it. I think 9 games across all the Power 4 conferences should be what is required to make this fair. But I don't agree with a lot of things in college sports. And you know what? Ain't nobody called me and asked me for my opinion. And I'm okay with that too. But I get this platform and I'm going to share what I think.
I think the ADs are going to be for it just because of money. Coaches are never going to be for it because 9-3 is way sexier than going 8-4. So the coaches are never going to be on board. If we ever do get to that point, like you said, Jay, if we do have 9 conference games, the days of playing the one other Power 4 team like that, you can kiss that goodbye. We saw it last year with the playoffs. It didn't really matter who you played in the non-con. So, I mean, you could see SEC teams just play 3 cupcakes and then the 9 conference games and then go from there.
Yeah, and I think the imbalanced schedules are still a huge issue in that too. I mean, whoever you draw in, Tennessee and Texas are 2 teams that have drawn the good end of schedules as they formulated the SEC after Texas and OU joined. And when you got all these teams and you're playing half your league, just the randomness is somebody's going to get an easy one. And that never got adjusted for last year in addition to all the other stuff too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the schedule, it's going to be way better than what it was. Ole Miss played at South Carolina for the first time in 12 years. I mean, you can't have that. So I Ole Miss hasn't played Auburn now for the 2 years in a row. I can't remember prior to all this change and where Ole Miss and Auburn just didn't play each other. So I do like it moving forward of how we're not held to divisions and all that. And, you potentially won't see somebody for 12 years. So there's way more options scheduling wise now than what we've had in the past.
Well, I think the future is pods.
Yes. Probably so.
4-team pods, East, Central,
Wow,
Midwest, West. And then instead, if we're going to eliminate a cupcake, we have semifinals on that last weekend after Thanksgiving. We move all the rivalry games up, and all the ones play, all the twos play, all the three plays, all the four plays. And then the 2 ones that win advance to Atlanta. And it's going to give you a more representative champion because you're at least comparing apples to apples on who you are. Because right now, all right, the most important person in college football for any program is a head coach. The second one is the guy who's managing the portal. The third one is probably the OC, and the fourth one is the guy in Birmingham who sets the schedule. So the rest of it, yeah, is it great to have a quarterback? Sure it is. But if you draw Texas, Georgia, Alabama, and got to go to Auburn and to Florida, I don't give a doggone if you got Peyton Manning circa 1997. Yeah. You're going to have a whole unbelievable road to hoe.
By the way, I interrupt Jay's train of thought as I'm watching the screen. One player for Media Days showed up in a tux this year.
Who we got? Who is it?
I'm gonna see if you guys can guess it.
Well, who went today? Ole Miss went today.
Oh, it's Diego Pavia. It's 100% Diego Pavia.
You nailed it. I've never seen a guy show up in a tux.
And he showed up and said, "Hugh Freeze, where's my money?" Because he just showed him walking in Hugh Freeze's head.
Yes, he does.
That is a move. I love it.
All right, I got to tone it down a little bit because I'm actually in the office and I'm kind of yelling.
It'd be hilarious if you just see like a group of people in that glass.
They like pull up chairs. And,
what's Jay doing?
They can watch me drink from my Game Time Sidekick cup.
By the way, you watching Sam on the screen here, all the road trips and the games that have not been played. It's crazy.
Some of these are
like
wild.
how has Georgia not been to college? I mean, A&M's been in the league since what? 14,
12.
13, 12? Yes. Like how are we here?
Tennessee hasn't been to Start Vegas since Derek Dooley. My goodness.
Yeah.
How far has Tennessee come?
I got a Starkville story.
Oh, God. So I can't wait to hear this, Jay.
Hey, this is gonna be quick because we got a lot of stuff to get to. So we're in college and we go visit the wonderful Mississippi State University in Starkville and cowbells everywhere. They weren't real good. This was early 90s maybe. And normally I'd wear cowboy boots to the football game and I'd pour my brown liquor in Ziploc bags and put them down in my cowboy boots. Well, I ran out of Ziploc bags. So we had normal people tickets, not student tickets. And I promise you, I had a coat on because it was late in the year. I had a fifth of Jack Daniels underneath my coat like this and handed him his ticket. And he didn't even bat an eye at me. I mean, I walked in holding a fifth of Jack Daniels. And I'm going, man, I should have come to school here.
Oh, the stories that could have been told from that one. Yeah. A couple more things on Sankey here before we move on. And Graham, I'll let you guys pick where you want to go next. We've still got a few teams that are there today we haven't talked about. But two other things. Sankey obviously wants the playoff expanded, and very unpopular take, at least with me, talked about he's in favor of expanding the NCAA tournament, which is just an awful idea. But feels like that's where we're headed anyway.
For the playoffs, I don't know. To me, 16 kind of feels like a lot. Like that's a big number. I don't know. I still think it's so new, and like the seedings last year were awful. Like I don't understand why they did the way they did it for seeds, but to me, like clean up the seeds first, all that, and then if you want to go expand, like let's have a year or two with correct seeds and just see what that looks like. So this is all still so new. I think people are still trying to figure it out. I mean, like if SMU doesn't get like if they get blown out, like do they in their conference championship game, do they even make the playoffs? You know, it's just craziness like that a season ago. And Boise being a top 4 seed was just insane, yeah, a season ago. So there's so many things to like clean up and correct. I just don't want it to be like, you know, the summer of 2020 when all this stuff and collegiate athletics, like you could come back for COVID, NIL, like you could go enter the transfer portal, unlimited it was like all this stuff all at once, and it's just chaos. I don't really want chaos. Like, let's just do baby steps and just figure out what works and what doesn't work.
I'm trying to think of something I am more adamant about in sports, and I can't. And it's because it's the sport I love the most, and that's college football, especially SEC football. But the continued expansion is going to completely devalue the best regular season in all of sports. And people who say, well, we need more playoff games. Bullcrap. You've got a playoff game starting Labor Day weekend, and back how it used to be, every Saturday was a playoff game. Because if you wanted to feel comfortable about being the final 2 or even the final 4, you had to win every Saturday. And maybe you got one loss. And the people who offer up this hollow faux rationale of it opens it up to more people, bull snot. It only gives Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, Georgia mulligans. They get a breakfast ball and they get a ball off the first tee on the back 9. And so, hey, tell me the loser of Texas, Ohio State, and Columbus in week 1 is out. You can't. But 10 years ago, when we were doing 2 or 4, they're then behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, and you expand it to 16, and you're talking about 3 and 4 loss teams getting in this thing. Or you're talking about a 1-loss Southern Miss. And don't get me wrong, Southern Miss with 1 loss, you had a great year. You're not beating South Carolina, who may have been 7-5.
Different animal.
Yes, yeah. It's a completely different animal, especially as we move forward when we're talking about the money that's going to be spent in these programs. So expanding this thing, and I say this with the knowledge and the understanding, again, nobody calling me. It's going to happen because they're trying to figure out revenue streams, and they've got ways to market an extra round of playoff games. I get that it's happening. It's not, and it's almost Coyote-esque that I'm yelling at windmills and actually really yelling. And newspaper people are going to come over here and hit me with a windmill. But it doesn't mean I have to like it. Hell, I know, and you're right, 16 feels better than 12, especially with the seeding debacle. I wish they'd say, you know what? We're going back to 2.
No,
see, you want a computer involved?
Hey, I want a computer involved if we're going to at least have a formula. And I'll tell you this, Chris, because you mentioned this earlier about why is football so different than basketball. The biggest step they could enable to get trust from all of us is have a reporter in that room and have transparency.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that should be, I don't understand how, if the folks in Washington get involved with all this stuff, somewhere in the line item bill, they need to say, all right, yeah, but you got to have somebody who's taking notes on this, and we want to read them.
This is why I think you're wrong. I think they got the format last year is astonishingly close to right. The 2 things they didn't do, I think the selection process was screwed up, where I don't think that the process in terms of, debating strength of schedule and who you beat, strength of resume, those things that Sankey mentioned today, I think he's absolutely right. Number 2, you get the seeding right. You don't do the goofy things with conference champions, getting the auto buys. the playoff plays out much differently. You reseed the thing. It's super interesting. And you got some teams that went on the road that would have been at home. You would have had a better playoff. I think you make those two pivots, and they made one of them already. Then you're good. Jay, this is why I disagree with you, because I don't like devaluing regular seasons. And like in Major League Baseball and NFL, I think they have put so many teams in the playoffs, and they certainly do this in the NBA, that it absolutely devalues the regular season. But, okay, let's say that Auburn was, when Cam Newton was there, okay? Let's say that it was a 12-team playoff situation, and Auburn's right there, and Cam Newton goes out for a month, and they lose 3 games when Cam Newton's out. Are you telling me Auburn was clearly with Cam Newton good enough to win a national title? I just like the fact that the games and the passes out for losing a game or two are there. So if a team does lose a key player, you got some wiggle room on the back end through that many teams.
Again, all right. We've seen it. One, you left out a big one where the word devalue is getting debated. The college basketball regular season is meaningless, boys, because there are so many teams in the tournament. I mean, if you can go 7, what did Oklahoma go? 8-10 in the league?
Yeah.
And so they didn't have a winning record in their league, and they got in the dance. Now the SEC was tough, but now they're going to expand college basketball too. So, I mean, it blows my hair back, and I love college basketball, especially now that Auburn got good. But you start going to 16. You know what else is really ironic to me? They're in the hierarchy of changing your tune real quick. You remember when Nick Saban used to complain about the hurry-up offense was dangerous for players, and then he got a quarterback who could run the hurry-up offense, and they started doing it? Wasn't it that long ago that we were talking about this is too many games for these kids? And now we're going to add an extra round, and we're playing 15, 16 games? I mean, don't get me wrong. They're now getting paid for it, and so they're cashing in. I get it. But, Chris, to your point, injuries are part of sports, man. If Cam Newton had gotten hurt, that team had one other draft pick. And they had 2 other draft picks. It was Nick Fairley was a first-round pick at D tackle, and Lee Zimba was a 7th-round pick to the Carolina Panthers. So that team was not a good team. That team had the best player I've ever seen. And I saw Herschel in person, and I saw Bo Jackson in person. And Cam Newton that year was the back half of that year. He was the best college football player I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And all apologies to Joe Burrow apologists and Johnny Manziel, guys who are naming their kid Johnny, and God bless you. And the Scooby-Doo costumes, I love them. I mean, that kid was unbelievably entertaining, and that's why I watch sports. But the conversation, and who's to say, and here's the thing that scares me the most. When we take quick steps to get to 16, that means everybody sitting in those dark suits in those dark rooms are taking quicker steps to get to 24.
Yeah.
That's true.
I just don't want you don't have to include everybody. Like, that drives me crazy. The group of 5 team is like, it's just maybe if you have one that's undefeated or has one loss, but
that's great.
Guy, yeah. But I don't know.
Those crazy young kids.
Yeah, you never know what's coming out of Cam's mouth nowadays.
Or what he's putting on. Have you seen the wardrobe?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to show up at a softball tournament dressed like Cam Newton. It's got to be towards the fall, though, because this 2 dog.
I will need pictures.
Got a hat on.
Get you one of those hats that's like cut off on the top.
No, I mean, and you guys are right. And here's the thing. I think if they go much further, too, then what you're going to have is you'll have rivalry games where a team has basically clinched a playoff berth, and they'll sit out a starting quarterback because they can.
That'll happen. But, I mean, we see that in the NFL, too. A team that's already clinched in the last week or 2 of the regular season. It happens in the NFL.
Well, it does, but I just made the argument. I think there's too many playoff teams in the NFL. And that's why, again, I think they got it right with 12. You straighten the seating out. You allow for if somebody has an off week or loses a player, you allow a little margin for error to get the best teams in there. But you don't water it down.
Like, let's nail the 12 first before we move on to 16.
Agreed.
Like, let's figure this out before we just like make another change. It just feels like every 18 months or whatever, just something drastically changes and happens. And it's like, let's nail the 12 first and then go from there.
Next, Jay Greason.
Well, all right. We've only heard Beamer, right? Is there somebody who got called to the podium now? Because we've all got to be excited that Lane Kiffin speaks today, because he's going to be a heck of a lot more exciting than what Sankey said. And hey, I think Beamer's better at this than a lot of us maybe expected, and I think he may build something pretty salty at South Carolina. But Lane Kiffin is a entertainment factory. And go ahead, Graham.
Lane, I don't think anybody is going to ask him like a lot of like detailed questions about his team. Lane is one of the few coaches in the conference or in the country, really, where if he says something like it gets picked up by national media, then everybody talks about it. I think you're going to see a lot of big picture questions today from Lane, just about whatever, NIL, playoffs, just anything, everything, transfer portal window. So that's kind of where I think this is going to go.
Oh, you left out a big one, brother.
What's that?
At some point in time, somebody's going to ask him about his golf game and tee him up.
Yeah.
For, pun intended, a whole lot of Hugh Freeze shots.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Yeah. That'll probably happen too at one point.
Do you want to go there?
Well, I first want to talk about Ole Miss.
We also got LSU because Brian Kelly did go this morning too. So
I think the best, and Graham, you can probably expound on it a little more. You live there. But I think the player that not the everyday SEC fan doesn't know, but who will know about before Columbus Day, Austin Simmons is coming, people. And that kid can play.
Yeah. So if you don't know his story, he graduated high school not 1 but 2 years early. He already has his undergraduate degree from Ole Miss already. So lefty, played baseball, got injured. He was a pitcher. So he gave up baseball and he's all in now on football. So Jay, I agree with you. I do think that he's going to have – I think he's going to be really, really good. But, I mean, we also have to be fair. Everybody is basing this off of one drive and one moment against Georgia. So Jackson Dart got hurt early in the first quarter, goes back in the locker room, and then Austin Simmons goes in there and really handled the moment. They didn't change the offense or anything like that, and he did a really good job in that moment. So that's kind of like where everybody is basing this all off of. Like, he was really good at mop-up duty, all that, but this is really his first time to be the guy. So I think he's going to be good, but also, it's kind of – I'm also like, well, you're going to have to prove it to a whole bunch of people. Pretty similar to Arch Manning at Texas.
Well, I'm contractually obligated not to mention Peyton and Eli's nephew until we get to Texas. I feel like I want to be anti-Feinbaum here. But I will say this, and all the jokes aside, somebody threw out Joey Freshwater. I got to ask a question first. Better picking up the ladies' pseudonym, Joey Freshwater for Lane Kiffin or Ron Mexico for Mike Vick, because both of them are tremendous. But the one thing I can say football-wise for Lane Kiffin, I don't know of a coach currently wearing a headset who gets more from his quarterback than Lane Kiffin. And I'll go all the way back to his 1 year in Tennessee. He turned Jonathan Crompton from a lightning rod into an NFL player. I mean, so if Austin Simmons is him, he's in no better hands than in Oxford, Mississippi with Joey Freshwater.
Here's my question. Is the surrounding cast what it was a year ago? It felt like a year ago, and tell me if I'm wrong, and not that they didn't get some good linemen in the portal, but it felt like that line last year had played together a good bit coming into the year. And this one is just, well, it's not transfers everywhere you look, because you did get some guys back, but there are some new faces there, and maybe guys who have not played as much as the group coming into a year ago.
Yeah, so with me and with a lot of Ole Miss fans, that is the question mark for this upcoming season, offensive line play. Now, I feel like a lot of teams are in this boat. Like that there are some returners, but what makes Ole Miss interesting is they haven't really signed a high school kid, developed him, and then put him out there to start or play. It's just been they get a bunch of transfer offensive linemen and put them in there, and that's just kind of what they've been doing like the last 2 or 3 years. So it's kind of getting to the point, okay, all these high school offensive linemen that Ole Miss has signed, like when, if at all, are these guys going to play? So to me, that's very fair. What in the world is the offensive line going to look like? I think Ole Miss potentially is going to be in a really good spot with the wide receivers and tight ends. Like Austin Simmons, he's going to have all kinds of weapons to throw to. Ole Miss, they signed a kid in Jay's hometown of Chattanooga to be the running back. They also got a couple of transfers in that spot as well. So running back, they're just going to have more options than what Ole Miss had at the running back position a season ago. Like that was once Quinshawn left, Ole Miss was kind of left, like scrambling a little bit. What are we going to do? How are we going to figure this out? So to me, the big question mark for Ole Miss is for sure going to be the offensive line.
Yeah, Quinshawn Judkins made the news in a bad way this weekend too, if you didn't catch that.
Tough weekend for him.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they do, they got Damian Taylor out of Troy. They got, 2 really good tight ends, I think, in the portal, Daquan Wright, Luke Haas. So yeah, I mean, he did what he did, and I don't know. It's a team that to me, I felt like a lot of places just had more guys we knew for Ole Miss. So like, how does it come together is what I want to see. I'm not going to call them a mystery, because I think, the chance that they'll be good is very high. I feel like Lane Kiffin's got like a 7 or 8 win floor, but
well, that's what I was about to say.
Can they hit it bigger than they've hit it?
If the floor is 8-4 for Ole Miss, like that just speaks to the job that Lane Kiffin and his staff have done. Like I lived through a 2-10. I mean that happened, and when I was growing up, 8-4 was like a really, really good season. So if that's the floor for Kiffin, that just speaks volumes to what he's done.
So a couple people are asking, who is Lane going to troll?
Bullseye number 1 is Hugh Freeze.
Yes, absolutely.
Brian Kelly would be up there too.
Well, I don't know if there's going to be anybody but Hugh Freeze. And in truth, if I'm Hugh Freeze who takes the podium tomorrow, I so lean into this golf conversation. I mean, I walk to the podium, got my suit on, I got my Game Time SIDEKICKS cup, and I go, hey, everybody, how we doing? I think the Auburn Tigers are going to be great this year. I really do. Hey, Jackson Arnold, y'all can talk to him in a minute. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch him play. He's a 5-star kid. He's going to have all the tools around him. Have you seen Cam Coleman? Kid looks like a filing cabinet, and he runs a 4.5. Have you seen Eric Singleton, kid from Georgia Tech? That kid runs a 4.3 40, barefooted and backwards. Have you seen our defense? We've got a defensive lineman who's going to be a first-round pick. And that's when special things happen in Auburn, Alabama. You've got defensive and offensive linemen who can be first-rounders. Talk to Connor Lewell. That kid, hey, wonderful kid. You want him dating your daughter, but you don't want him blocking your son. And now, before I get to your questions, I want to say War Eagle. And I mean Eagle as in a 3 on a par 5. I want to talk to Greg Sankey before we leave here And I want to turn the third overtime period into a coach's chip-off. You know why? Because I love Auburn, but I love golf too. And if you guys love your job, you can't love your wife. You can't love your family. You can't have multiple loves. Lean into this. Lean into this and, hey, own it. And then say, hey.
Yeah, that ain't happening, Jay.
I know it's not happening. I know it's not happening. But, hey, you want to talk about redirecting the narrative? Oh, my word, you would own this. You would own this. And whatever Kiffin says today, Hugh Freeze, make certain you say, Lane's jealous because I'd get in his pocket and beat him by I'd have to give him 7 strokes aside. And just own it.
What is going to happen? He's going to get up there and filibuster. Like, it's just what Brian Kelly did today. Like, guys, when he was at Ole Miss and when that seat was hot, like when everybody thought he was going to get fired, like the day before media days, like he went up there talking about the special teams unit, like the holder, the kicker, the punt. Like that's the type of stuff he's going to do.
Of course he is. And it's just terrible, which then makes all the questions about none of your team and all about the stuff that you don't want to talk about. If you talk about it, and I do hope this, and I haven't seen any of the clips. I do hope that some enterprising young reporter asks every single coach what their handicap is. And because they all play at least some form of golf, and then writes a story about who's the best golfer. Because I'll tell you who is the best golfer. Have I told you guys my Spurrier story?
Yeah, you told us one.
It's awesome.
One or two. Yeah.
Well, all right. So I played golf with Spurrier one time at the old school SEC media days, and I get up underneath the first tee shot. Hey, I was more nervous teeing off in front of Steve Spurrier than I was asking my wife to marry me. And I hit it 75 yards in the air and 20 yards down the fairway. And Spurrier walks up there, puts a peg in the ground, smokes one down the middle, and went, Grayson, man, that was like an elephant's ass, high and stinky. And just kept walking to the car and kept on going. So,
hey, he still got his fastball too.
Yes, he does.
His comments on Arch the other day.
He still does have his fastball. Hey, that guy, man, oh man, that guy was special at everything he did. But if you lean into it, it makes all of it go away. I mean, honestly,
that's not the personality of Hugh Freeze, though.
No, he doesn't know another way. I don't think he's. I think that guy's going to be his own worst enemy till the grave.
Yep.
But hey, let's finish with LSU because Brian Kelly did speak today, and I actually think that's a sneakier hot seat than most people realize.
It's a lot of money. Jay, it's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. And same with Stoops, though.
It's also
Stoops
LSU.
But it is a LSU, and they got way too many dudes going on NBC Sunday Night Football going, Jamar Chase,
LSU.
the LSU University. I mean, so Cocaine Mothershed. Have y'all seen that YouTube clip? That
No.
Hilarious. Cocaine Mothershed. But they got too many dudes running around on Sunday to be 8-4.
They're gonna have to figure it out on defense. Like that's been the problem. I mean, when's the last time they had just a dude, a stud in the secondary? Like they always have somebody. But if it's been a couple of years now, they just haven't had a Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, whoever.
They haven't had that, but what they do is have maybe two first-team All-Americans at linebacker, whoever has that. And the best one is not Harold Perkins, by the way. According to the guy experts, right now it's Whit Weeks. I mean, and maybe some of that is hedging bets on Perkins and health. I don't know. And you look at the playmakers that he's got, and I think, speaking of mature quarterbacks, Nussmeier is right up there. Like the way that he handles media settings, he's played or when he wasn't playing, he's carried a clipboard and been involved in plays. I mean, he's been around LSU a long time. He's got all the stuff up here that you want. You look at the receiving. I mean, Nick Anderson, Aaron Anderson, Hilton, Barry and Brown's a reserve on this team, guys. I mean, how many places would Barry and Brown start? Now here's the issue. That offensive line is being rebuilt. And the names that they have are not the names that we've known in Baton Rouge the last few years, especially on your edges.
But they did get the number 1 portal class in the country.
Right.
And I agree.
But missing 2 first-round tackles, guys, that's got to leave a mark somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And they lost 4 offensive linemen to the league, which goes back to the earlier conversation. Money be doggone. You lose 2 first-round tackles, you're supposed to be a playoff team. And you lose 2 first-round tackles blocking for a guy who's going to be a top 10 pick next spring.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a freshman running back who's going to be one of the 2 or 3 running backs off the board in 2 springs. And I mean, hey, you got a doable schedule too. I mean,
they got to go to Ole Miss this year. Like that's got to be. I think it's early though this season. That'll be a tough one. But other than that, like there's nothing really that jumps out. Like they got the big one right out of the gates, Clemson, and then they get South Carolina at home too. But like I can tell you this, as a Saints fan, yeah, I'm all in on Nuss. His dad is on staff for the Saints. Like that would make me very happy.
I'm trying to pull up their schedule here.
The thing with them though, like they open up at Clemson, and they have not. Ryan Kelly has not had success in these early big games like this. They got Florida State. They got
they lose that game every year. You're right.
So if they drop another one, like how warm and toasty is it going to get down there?
Well, it's pretty warm and toasty. I mean, I don't know if it's Dallas softball field hot, but it's pretty warm and toasty.
Yeah, that's going to be a very interesting one because Clemson is loaded too. I mean, that might be your duel of number 1 pick quarterbacks, guys, in that opener there between he and Klubnik.
Well, depending on what Arch wants to do.
Well, there's that too.
I'm still not mentioning.
What?
The only arches I'm mentioning today are either getting a Big Mac or driving through St. Louis.
I see where you're going with that. It took me a second. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What have we not hit today? We've got. Do you want to hit NIL today? Because I've got an interesting opinion on this one with some of the deals that are not going through. We can hit that, or we can hit something else before we exit here.
A lot of these deals they're already backlogged, and it's taking forever. And guys, like if we're in the middle of July and it's already delayed, what's it going to be like once the season starts?
Well, I have a question here. We have to get stuff approved that came after June 1st, right? Correct. But like if somebody did something May 31st, if Mississippi State wanted to pay Ace Reese $10 million, not to do a darn thing, the clearinghouse cannot touch that, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
He literally signed like right before the deadline.
Right, which was very smart, and I don't understand why more teams didn't do that. But anyway, I don't know. I'm just looking at it, and it's feeling with all these deals getting rejected, and somebody threw one out the other day. This was a $2,300 deal, and they felt like they met all the things. That's not a big amount of money, and it got turned down. I'm wondering, is this? I mean, because look, who appointed the clearinghouse? The NCAA, right? I mean, this feels. This had never occurred to me till all these deals got thrown out. I still think schools view that as competition for resources, and it's kind of like, if you and your wife get divorced, your father-in-law is the mediator of the divorce. I mean, that doesn't seem fair. That kind of feels a little bit like what the NCAA did here. At a point, I'd never thought of this, but like, okay, you can have NIL deals. You got to get them cleared. We'll tell you, we'll direct you to the party who clears them, and now everything's getting denied. Does that seem a little fishy to you?
Have you been talking to Kathleen? What was that divorce conversation? I mean, I know I'm not an angel, but damn, man. Here's the thing. is they got to do whatever they can find to get some sort of structure that can stick. And there's going to be a litany of lawsuits coming. The Title IX one is next. Fair compensation to players who didn't even have a seat at the bargaining table. I mean, Chris, if you're going to talk about your father-in-law negotiating your divorce, then the truth of the matter is we need to start this whole thing over again, regardless of the house settlement, because none of the current athletes had a chair at the table when they were setting a $20.5 million cap. So regardless of the clearinghouse allowing these things through or not through, the entire idea and foundation of this has been built on sand to begin with.
Yes. They need to blow the whole thing up and start over again. They really do, because anybody believed this was going to solve all the issues, and boy, you had some people out there that did. That was naivety of the highest order.
And keep it at a 2-team playoff.
I'm gonna have to nix you on that one, but yeah, I mean, it begs some questions to me. Maybe I'm off base, but just feels like, you know, the NCAA is already, the schools have already paid a lot of money, and it feels like they're doing anything they can to keep paying more, which I don't blame them. But the point being, I just don't see all this stuff holding together. I mean, the legal challenges amounted already, and like we're just causing more trouble for everybody. Correct. Until we figure. I mean, how much money would the NCAA have saved itself in its schools if 4 or 5 years ago they just said, "Hey, let's sit down, let's talk it through, let's figure out some things that people can agree on and are collectively bargain, whether it was to the technical definition of it or something resembling that, where there's representation." Because what you did, I think they cost himself maybe tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars, probably hundreds of millions of dollars. Because what they did, if they'd been smart, they would have figured this out ahead of time. They would have come to an agreement, because at every turn, guys, what happened every offseason with NIL pools? They just went up and up and up to where it became like you would hear guys that are going to be 8th, 9th, 10th men on basketball teams allegedly getting 7 figures. Like, how much money would the NCAA and its schools have saved themselves if, instead of being stupid and greedy in the first place, sit down, figure something out? Because the longer they let this go unfettered, and I'm presuming in an attempt to let the system break itself, they were bidding against themselves.
Blame Mark Emmert. I mean, his strategy was very ostrich-esque. He put his head in the sand and pretended it was going to go away, praying that the court was going to rule against Ed O'Bannon. And they didn't.
Happen. Yeah.
And so here we are. They could have settled. They could have kept their hands around some control. They could have tried to put a structure in place before this thing got to Washington and and worse, to the state capitals across the country, because now it's not deemed a federal issue; it's a state-by-state issue. And the only way to assuredly not get elected in the state of Alabama, and this is assuredly, there are 3 ways: found in bed with a live boy, a dead girl, or you vote against college football.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Parting thoughts. We'll be back. Actually, we'll be back every day this week.
That is my parting thought.
That's a pretty good one to end on. And maybe we need to let that one in there, to be honest. We'll be back 11 to noon every week talking about whatever's current at media days. So, yeah. Jay's got his. Graham, it's time for yours.
My parting thoughts. I don't know. I'm so ready for football season to get here. But this is kind of a trick, right? Like, SEC Media Days is this week. Everybody gets all geared up, happy and excited. You think it's right around the corner, but it's really not. You know, like we're still like a month or so away. So this is a good start. Can't wait to see what Kiffin says today and just what happens the rest of the week.
Yeah, looking forward to Lane Kiffin's thing today. Want to see what Diego Pavia says, just because you never know. And then tomorrow, I think we get Tennessee tomorrow, don't we?
Oh, yeah, tomorrow's loaded.
Yeah, I think that, yeah.
Hugh Freeze going over his short game.
The Nico questions are going to be, I think, very interesting. So we'll look forward to that. All right. Thank you guys for watching. May try to do some wrap-up of the draft coverage. That'll probably be a members-only thing. The baseball draft is going on. SEC players are flying off the board as we speak, and commitments too. So we've got you covered in SEC baseball, basketball, football. Hope you'll watch us. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. It costs you nothing. And support our sponsor, Game Time Sidekicks. For Jay Greason, Graham Doty, I'm Chris Lee.